Climate change is a pressing problem facing our planet today. However, in recent years, there has been growing concern about the possibility of a climate weapon, a weapon capable of controlling or manipulating the Earth's climate for military purposes. In this video, we look at the concept of climate weapons and see if there is any scientific evidence to support their existence. The concept of climate weapons has been around for decades. Some people believe that governments or the military can use technology, such as cloud seeding, ionospheric heaters, or chemical and biological agents, to manipulate weather patterns for their own strategic purposes. The history of the use of climate weapons begins with the United States. Ironically, for all the mystique surrounding this type of weaponry, few are aware of the only confirmed case of climate manipulation in warfare in history. The case was, of course, in Vietnam and is directly related to the information that the Guks were hiding even in the trees. It was they who prevented the U.S. from taking over some of the territory. By 1967, the Americans had taken control of the southern part of the country, established their power there, and actively supported it. But the trees located in the areas bordering on South Vietnam, in Laos and Cambodia, were numerous, which played against the Americans, and using the natural cover, the guerrilla forces of North Vietnam built an intricate chain of arms, which the U.S. called the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Eliminating it was impossible. Invading Laos as well was impossible. And the dense trees and difficult terrain promised death from an overabundance of lead from gooks in the trees to any of the American punitive detachments. The solution was Operation Popeye, in which from March 20, 1967, C-130 transports and 4 planes sprayed silver iodide in the clouds for 5 years, causing endless downpours. Fields were flooded, trails were washed away, and it seemed to be a victory. But unfortunately for the USA, the Viet Cong invented new trails, and having spent 5.5 tons of silver iodide and millions of dollars, the USA did not manage to break the supply. However, there is no scientific evidence that climate weapons exist in the sense of weapons specifically designed to control or manipulate the Earth's climate for military purposes. While it is true that the United States was involved in the military campaign in Vietnam, including the use of chemical and biological weapons, such as Agent Orange. Agent Orange was a herbicide used by the U.S. military during the Vietnam War to destroy crops and vegetation to deprive enemy troops of shelter and food. It was a mixture of 2 herbicides, 245T and 24D, which contained the highly toxic chemical dioxin. Dioxin is a persistent environmental contaminant that can cause serious health effects in humans and animals, including cancer, birth defects, reproductive and developmental problems. The use of Agent Orange in Vietnam was associated with a range of health problems among both Vietnamese civilians and U.S. military veterans exposed to the herbicide, and its legacy continues to affect the health and well-being of people and communities in the region. But at the same time, there is no credible evidence that the U.S. military used climate weapons, such as cloud seeding, to destroy the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Furthermore, the claim that the use of silver iodide in the clouds caused endless downpours and flooding of fields is not supported by scientific evidence, since cloud seeding is a highly uncertain and variable process that does not guarantee precipitation. Despite the lack of evidence for the existence of climate weapons, the idea of manipulating the Earth's climate for military purposes raises a number of potential risks. For example, it could exacerbate existing conflicts or tensions between countries, leading to unintended consequences and a lack of trust between states. In addition, the potential environmental impact of large-scale climate change projects could be significant, leading to unintended and harmful consequences for ecosystems and biodiversity. Therefore, it is critical that any proposed geoengineering projects be thoroughly scientifically tested and evaluated before they are implemented. Climate modification technologies, such as cloud seeding, do exist, but they are not considered military weapons. Although geoengineering projects have been discussed and proposed that could alter the Earth's climate on a large scale, such as by using reflective particles in the atmosphere, these ideas have not been developed or implemented as military weapons. It is important to note that deliberate attempts to change the climate can have unpredictable and potentially harmful consequences for both the environment and the population. Therefore, the scientific community as a whole views geoengineering as a last resort to combat the effects of climate change, rather than as a viable solution for military purposes. It is important to emphasize that efforts to deliberately change climate can have unpredictable and potentially harmful consequences. Therefore, the international community has concluded a treaty that prohibits the development, testing, and use of environmental modification technologies for military purposes, called the Convention on the Prohibition of Military or any other hostile use of environmental modification technologies, ENMD, adopted by the UN General Assembly on December 10, 1976. Instead of relying on unproven and potentially harmful methods, it is important to focus on sustainable solutions to combat climate change. This includes reducing greenhouse gas emissions, investing in renewable energy, and promoting sustainable agriculture and land use practices. In addition, international cooperation and collaboration is needed to address the global challenge of climate change. Working together, we can develop effective and sustainable solutions to protect our planet and provide a better future for generations to come. The concept of climate weapons is not supported by the scientific community, and deliberately modifying the Earth's climate can have unpredictable and potentially harmful consequences. Renewable energy technologies, such as solar panels and wind turbines, are designed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate climate change. Solar panels convert sunlight into electricity, and wind turbines generate electricity from the wind. By using these technologies to generate electricity, we can reduce our dependence on fossil fuels, which are a major source of greenhouse gas emissions. Carbon capture and storage, CCS, technologies are designed to capture carbon dioxide emissions from power plants and industrial processes and store them underground. This can help reduce greenhouse gas emissions and slow the rate of climate change. However, there are concerns about the safety and effectiveness of CCS, and they have yet to find widespread use on a large scale. One concern is the possibility of leaks, which can release large amounts of carbon dioxide and other harmful substances into the atmosphere or the local environment. There are also concerns about the long-term stability of stored carbon dioxide and the possibility that seismic activity or other disruptions could cause a release of stored carbon dioxide. Climate modeling and simulation tools allow scientists to study and predict changes in Earth's climate over time. These tools use sophisticated mathematical models and computer simulations to analyze data and make predictions about future climate trends. This information can be used to inform policy decisions and mitigate climate change. Weather forecasting technologies, such as radar and satellite imagery, are used to track and predict storm trajectories and extreme weather events. This information can be used to prepare for and respond to disasters that are expected to become more frequent and severe due to climate change. Deforestation and changes in land use can have a significant impact on the Earth's climate by altering the balance of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Trees absorb carbon dioxide as they grow, so deforestation can increase greenhouse gas emissions. Changes in land use, such as converting forests to farmland, can also have unwanted effects on the environment and climate. Finally, industrial processes, such as cement and steel production, are major sources of greenhouse gas emissions. Efforts to reduce emissions from these processes are ongoing, with many companies and governments investing in research and developing new technologies to reduce emissions. In general, it is important to consider the environmental impact of any technology or device designed to impact the climate, and to prioritize sustainable solutions that minimize unintended consequences. Until we meet again, friends,